Hi, my name's Robert Jenkinson and I work as a counsellor therapist as well as a supervisor of counsellors and a trainer. Now, I've been counselling for the last 26 years, but I've been doing specialist ACC counselling with sexual abuse survivors for the last 5 years. And what I found was that in my initial training, there was no mention whatsoever of report writing, how to gather information, what psychometrics or assessments I can use in this particular field. So that prompted me to actually help to put this training together. Sitting alongside me is Jasmine, and she'll tell you.
Yes, hi everyone. I am Robert's wife and I'm also the admin part of his team. And initially Robert presented this workshop basically by himself and with a little bit of admin input from me. But as we worked with it over 2 or 3 years, we realised really that it would be helpful to bring the clinical and the administrative eye to the particular box that writing an ACC report is, because there is a particular framework that is needed for the administration part, that the box to be ticked so that you can get the support your client needs, as well as the clinical approach, which is Robert's strength. So that is why we have co-presented this particular set of modules around ACC report writing, which covers the early planning report and writing the wellbeing plan.
So, as you'll be aware, if you're thinking about doing ACC work, you might find it a bit daunting because there is a process you have to follow. There are particular kinds of reports you have to write. And so this training will actually show you exactly what you need to do. So first of all, when you are thinking about doing ACC work, you have to find a supplier. You have to present your credentials to ACC. And so we cover that in the training, and after that, when you start receiving clients, then as you know, you've got 6 sessions to gather information. So what this training will take you through is what kind of information you need to satisfy ACC requirements, and what are some good ways of gathering that information. So when you've got the information, then you start writing your early planning report. And again, the specific information, the ways of writing this in the third person, gathering all the information that you need so that you can finish off the early planning report. As you're probably aware now, that report then gets sent to ACC and the client goes for an assessment. When the assessment comes back and their claim's accepted, you then have to write a wellbeing plan based on the recommendations of the assessment. Now, this is the report that I find many counsellors, social workers find the most difficult, because you have to use your clinical experience to match what the goals are that the client needs to achieve. So what we offer in this training is words, narratives, ways of explaining what the client needs, so that you can more accurately describe the goals that you're meeting in your clinical work. So we cover the early planning report and the wellbeing plan. So I'll hand over to Jasmine now, because she will tell you more about the more admin that is needed in this process.
Yes, I come in with Robert through those modules 1, 2 and 3, talking particularly about things like the services that you need to request at both the early planning and the wellbeing plan levels, or in those reports. And then we've added in a final admin module which stands alone, which I've co-presented with Selena Needham, who is a supplier that we work with. And I begin that particular module looking at how to create a balanced practice. But this will be particularly relevant for those of you who are already or are thinking about going into private practice on your own, so that you manage to create some tips that I've learnt the hard way alongside Robert, in terms of creating some work-life balance, how to manage a diary so that you're not overwhelmed, how to make sure that you're allowing time in your appointment planning to write those reports, some of those practical things. And then the rest of that particular module is looking specifically at the ACC admin. How do you, what's the best way to contact ACC? What's the role of your supplier? How do you read and understand a purchase order? Keeping on track of the purchase order expiries, all of those sorts of things. When are your reports due? How do you know? How do you get support? How do you find extra support for your client? How do you access an assessor? Some of those practical ACC specific admin things are covered in that module. And we also, when you're looking at the actual program inside, each module's got its own video and the resources that will be appropriate for that underneath that. But we've also opened up a discussion thing, and because ACC requirements change from time to time, they've changed since we first, a couple of things have changed since we first recorded this series. Updates are put into a separate section of, when there's been a change on reporting requirements. Those updates, as legislation changes, as requirements change, we're popping in at the bottom of each section. And the discussion enables you to contact us or get feedback from other counsellors who may be also working through the same material. So hopefully that gives you an overview and an idea of what to expect.